comic book fans, welcome to Potbelly Gamers, #Pullthis for Wednesday, July 5th, 2017. I'm your host, Glenn Kremp, aka Leafs and Six, and these are my top choices for the comics released this week. First up, I'm going to go with Image Comics' Sacred Creatures #1. Now, this is a nice thick comic. It is $4.99, just so you are aware of that. But it is a good, interesting story. It's more of a supernatural tale along the lines of Hellblazer, American Gods, even to an extent Lucifer. So we do have, as you can see here, the cover does show the family of 7. They are somewhat of a mystical family. Each one has a little bit of powers, which you see throughout the comic. Now, this is the story of Josh Miller. He is just a regular, ordinary New York citizen. He has a girlfriend with a baby on the way, getting a job, going to interviews. Now, the family of 7 needs a certain job completed. They've come together after about a century to get this job completed. Now, the story does begin with that job being completed, but the fallout from where we go. So throughout the beginning of the comic, we see each of these family members interacting with Josh and how they slowly descend him into a person who's just about to go to a job interview for a great job, and he just slowly is missing that and just becoming more of their servant. One of them can touch him and he sleeps for a whole weekend missing an interview. The other one has a persuasion to have him do things. And what they need is they give him a stone type knife and send him out to potentially, well, as we think, kill somebody. On the flip side of evil, there's always good. And we do have Father Adrian, who comes and is kind of onto his side. He kind of feels like a Constantine kind of character. He is a father, as I said, Father Adrian, and takes him and tries to get him out of the situation to fight the bad things. We do see weird kind of demon hellcats and other weird creatures like that as they're jumping from rooftops to escape what Josh had just done. Now, throughout the comic also, there's a very important person who's coming to the United Nations, and that is who the family wants dead. A really interesting comic, like I said, a nice thick book. It did take a while to get through, which was really nice. I did enjoy it very much. Again, it does end on a cliffhanger, so would want you getting issue #2, but a highly top pick for this week. Next up, DC Comics, we're going with Batman 26. And I also grabbed the variant cover, which I just love the artwork of that. It was really awesome to have that artwork on the front cover. Now, we continue with the War of Riddles. As we last seen in the last issue of Batman, the Joker shot Riddler in the gut, and pretty much Batman and Joker left him for dead as Batman continued to try to chase the Joker. There's a lot of homages going on in Batman 26. The first one we do have is pretty much as the Doctor is fixing up the Riddler. It is very reminiscent of the Batman 89 film when the Doctor's fixing up the Joker face, and the same lines you can see. What we have here is where he's saying, "These are the tools I have to work with," and all that stuff. But now the Riddler does also have his own symbol where the bullet wound ends up as the punctuation mark to the question mark that he's now carved into his chest. Now again, this is a early beginning of Batman's tale, so again, we do have the Riddler and Joker now making teams of villains. So it's almost I guess the best way to say is Marvel has its civil war with heroes, DC is doing a civil war with its villains, which is crazy. So Joker and Riddler are collecting each villains on their side to see where we go. Now again, as we always know, this is Batman telling Selina the one thing that got away. So we do see what's really bugging Bruce is all the people through this war that died at the hands of I'd like to call it a civil war or a war between the Joker and the Riddler. Now the other neat thing about, as I was mentioning, the homage is at the beginning we have the Joker arriving via taxi cab to someone's house. Now the person's house name is Dick Sprang. And if that rings a bell to you, he used to write for Batman. The other nice thing is Dick Sprang also is one of the people co-created the Batmobile, and he's also co-created the Riddler. So that's kind of interesting that right at the beginning of this comic book we have the Joker going to Dick Sprang's house and essentially, yeah, kind of killing him. So Other than that, a great read this week, and that story is really going good with War of the Riddles in Batman. And also this week, there's a special incentive if you head to your comic shop. So Star Wars 33 came out this week, as long as the Rogue One adaptation, and that is part 4. Now, if you do buy either of those comics, you're also being handed out the free Star Wars Adventures, which is going to be the new comic series that is going to be done by IDW. So that's pretty good. Again, as the Star Wars tale continues, it's more of a Luke and Leia adventure, as we know from the previous 5-part series, The Citadel. They've escaped the Citadel, but unfortunately their plane or their starship crashes on this planet. So it's pretty much a very interesting tale of Luke and Leia with no real weapons other than Luke's lightsaber actually taking on an AT-AT, which once they crash onto this planet, they do discover there's a little bit of an Empire stronghold on here. You see an AT-AT rise from the water with a stormtrooper, which is pretty cool, and then just them taking it on by themselves with no real actual weapons other than a bow and arrow, which is pretty cool. And again, as we mentioned for the Rogue One, as we do continue with that story, it's just adding those deleted scenes that you might have seen back into the comic book, but it is the complete retelling of Rogue One just with some extra scenes. This is more or less the Vader meeting Krennic, and it ends with them about to assault Scarif. Now it's time for the quick hits. Whoa! First up, we're going to do Justice League number 24. Now, as we know, throughout the Aquaman series, Aquaman's been kicked from the throne of Atlantis, but this is Mira's own adventure dealing with the Justice League and her trying to figure out on how to get back to help Arthur Curry. A really great story, and awesome to see Mira such badass in it. Next up, X-Men Gold number 7. We finally see how the X-Men are reacting to what Steve Rogers did to New York City, putting that Mystic Force bubble, not allowing anybody in or out, and we do see how the X-Men are reacting now that their powers aren't working and they're stuck inside the dark Mystic Dome. And we go Avengers number 9. This is a really great story, and it does deal with Jane Foster as Thor and how she's stuck, how also Steve Rogers has casted her onto another planet without her hammer. She befriends some of the local alien life on that planet and helps him fight a giant monster. But a really good story to see Thor. Any story with Thor is really good. I do enjoy Jane Foster as Thor, but to see her battle without her hammer is really awesome, just using the lightning. So next up, we're going to do Hard Traveling Hero, the Green Arrow number 26 title. As you remember, Hard Traveling Heroes was Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Green Lantern, which was a really amazing tale back in the 80s. This time we got Green Arrow and Flash on an adventure. Really good read this week. And that's my pull list for this week. As always, please tune in to the Potbelly Gamers podcast. We are on the allgames.com radio network. We are live every Friday night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we'll do a non-spoiler review of Spider-Man Homecoming. As well, we just want to give a thanks to WashiKong for all their support. Please visit washikong.com to check out their apparel, toys, and they do have a little online comic as well. And also, please help and support your local comic book shops. Without them, we would not have these great titles that we do have every week. If you do see Spider-Man this weekend, enjoy, have fun.
You usually say see you next week. Really?
See you next week.